again, the question was, you are representing to the people of the state of California that you have high levels of confidence, both in the $68 billion ultimate price tag and in getting this project in on time, given the restraints of the expectations in the bond language and all of that. And if the answer to that is yes, then say so. If it is maybe, then say so.
Well, let me give you the best answer I can give you right now today. And Mr. Thompson said it. There are a range of uncertainties here, so I can't look you in the eye and tell you it'll be $68 billion. I will tell you this. When you see our new business plan, the number's going to be less than $68 billion. Today, right now, snapshot of what we think it's going to be. I'm more confident about the dollars, sir, than I am about the time. It may take us a little longer to do this than we said. So that's as direct an answer as I can give you. And as we update our information, we will continue to update you.
And it does come to confidence. I think that is a legitimate area of exploration that I think an oversight committee needs to look at. I need to ask point blank and straight out about the chatter and the talk that we're hearing that there's going to be a turn from going from Central California south to going from Central California north. Is that what are we to make of that? And will that be in the business plan?
Well, first of all, I'm sorry I started to smile because since it comes from the same popular media source, I have a whole range of things I could answer in terms of what are we to make of that. But let me just say this to you. Our board right now is working with our staff on this draft plan. What we're excited about goes to what Mr. Gordon talked about. We think this is the time, and Mr. Thompson said this is a critically important year for us. What we are going to show you in this business plan is that we have a very good sense of how to build this system, the entire system. And the sequencing and so forth is the sequencing. But nobody's going to be left behind, and that was the implication. Nobody's going to be left behind no matter what we do. And I think particularly for people, and I suspect, Mr. Patterson, this includes you, who are concerned about the private sector role, we have a very strong sense now of how to sequence public sector dollars, private sector dollars, which ones are best applied to which parts of the system, and how to do that. Our goal, sir, what you will see in this new business plan, is a focus on getting trains running up as fast as possible. Because as we can do that, that frees up private sector dollars and so forth. But we will be laying out for you in the next couple of weeks with this draft plan how we build the entire system in California, not just part of the system.
Again, I'm unclear on.
Well, I'm only
hesitating,
sir, because we haven't.
Should we expect a shift from the Southern California construction to Northern California construction? Should we expect that?
Mr. Patterson, as a member of a plural body, I hope you'll appreciate my entire board has not had the opportunity yet to review this draft. And so it would be inappropriate for me sitting here right now to say to you what is in it.
Then can we go so far as to say that you are considering it?
What I would say to you is we're looking at all the possibilities. We're not afraid to relook at things that we've looked at in the past if that gets us to the goal of getting this done fastest and, as Mr. Morales said, in the cheapest way possible.
I can't help but ask, how is this consideration of a shift from Southern California to Northern California, coincidental as it might be with the issues raised in the Los Angeles Times, how is this not a tilt toward at least a tacit admission that some of the concerns brought out in the LA Times article is correct?
Assembly member, because I will say this to you now, and I would say it if I had my hand on a Bible, nothing that we are deciding in this business plan has to do with worrying about that we can't get over the Tehachapi's at some point. Nothing. What we're looking at is how do we get a train, a high-speed train service that meets the criteria of the Bond Act to operate without a subsidy, up and running as fast as possible. We're looking at that section. We're looking at different sections. But I also, sir, have to say I would just like to say that I don't agree with the characterization of a shift or a tilt. We are talking about a business plan for building the entire system. you will see things that are very different than what was in the report. And what we're doing is right now we're working simultaneously in 3 areas. In your district, where the spine of the system is being built, there's a tremendous amount of activity. We're also working at the bookends in Southern California, where there are billions of dollars, including in Mr. Gordon's district, the upgrade of the Caltrain service, which will be part of our system, and in Southern California. You can expect that you will continue to see in our business plan simultaneous activities across the state. So that part of the report is simply wrong.
Okay.
Could I just add one thing on the issue of the tunnels and things? I think that the issues that were raised in that article were not news. It was not news. The concerns about getting through the mountains, the risk, the peer review group has identified those. We have identified those as issues that we have to manage. We are confident that they can be managed, but we're taking steps constantly to work on those. We pulled 2 years ago, had a 3-day symposium in Los Angeles, bringing all the top tunneling experts from around the world to look at this issue, help us work through the question of what are the key risks, what are the key things we have to look at, what are the new tunneling techniques, all of those things. So I also don't want to leave the impression that a single article or anything else kind of daylighted a set of issues. Those are risks that we're well aware of and are managing constantly.
With respect to the testimony about the Board Finance and Audit Committee, Mr. Rossi told you on, this gets to the timing problem, told you on December 8th, and I can cite the minutes, that he has no confidence that we will hit the desired time frame given these numbers on December 8th. Those are the exact words he used, and it's contained in the minutes. He went on to flat out state for the record that as far as this committee is concerned, he does not believe in these end dates. Talk to us about the reaching of these end dates, and talk to us about the consequences if you fail to meet them.
Sure.
Go ahead.
Yeah, that discussion was specifically referring to the completion of environmental approvals for the program, not the construction of the project. We have a number of remaining sections of the system for which we have not secured the final environmental approvals of the records of decision. We've set a schedule of the end of 2017 to have that done. The discussion we're having with the board is, and what Mr. Rossi is saying, prove to me you can meet those dates and those deadlines. Again, but that's for the environmental approvals. And we are working to do that. We're putting the processes in place, working not only in terms of our internal procedures, but with the federal agencies and the state agencies who are a part of that process, whether it's EPA, Federal Railroad Administration, Fish and Wildlife, to ensure that we can meet those deadlines. But that was about meeting the environmental schedules, not the construction schedules. And we're, in response to the pressure from the board, we are demonstrating how we will meet those schedules.
If I might interrupt, I apologize. We have 15 minutes left in our hearing before we have to be downstairs for a session. Can I get a show of hands how many members of the public would like to speak? Okay, so why don't we hear from members of the public now?
Can I just finish?
We have 15. We have 15 minutes.
With all due respect.
So what is that? A minute for each member of the public?
There's no reason to argue.
Let's not have colloquy.
I suggested this earlier. You cannot do a thorough inquiry into the largest public works project in the state with 90 minutes. And so I was hoping that we would recess, go do our business on the floor, come back, reconvene, and have an opportunity for the public as well as the members to dig into a hugely significant project. If that's not the case, we defer to the chair.
Well, we are going to come back and have another hearing. I think that hearing is going to inform a lot of the questions that, that you have, Mr. Patterson.
I'll defer to the chair. And
so we will, I think, have ample time to address the issues at hand. I do want to acknowledge Assemblymember Patty Lopez, who's been waiting patiently through the hearing. Ms. Lopez, I have your letter addressed to me asking a number of questions that you would like, I think, the authority to answer, and I'm happy to turn those questions over to the authority and ask them to meet with you, speak with you directly, as they will with any of us here, by the way, and address any of the questions that we have. And if you'd like to lead off the public comment and make some remarks, would be happy to hear you. But bearing in mind that I would like to ask everyone to adhere to a 1-minute time limit, since we are pressed for time.
Well, I really appreciate it, Chair and members, to listen to my concerns. My district is the one is going to be really affected in the whole project, and I don't take it lightly in this process, because I've been asking for the authorities to come to my district and work with me in partnership. I noticed they have a meeting for the business, and I've been asking them for a long time since I came aboard to give me the list of the benefit that will benefit my district for the whole project. At this point, I didn't receive anything, and yet, still in the process, I don't feel it's enough transparency and accountability on this process, and I really appreciate it if you take really seriously those meetings that you're going to host in my district to partnership with my office and really acted. My community have a highly concerned, so I'm going to publicly be opposing for the whole project right now. So I really appreciate if Mr. Chair and members can respond to my letter. Thank you.
Thank you very much. If you'd come forward, if you'd like to address the committee, please step up at this time.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, committee members. Keith Dunn here on behalf of the Association for California High-Speed Trains. I'd like to thank the committee and your staff for putting this meeting together to clarify and allow the authority to respond to the multiple press reports that have been out there and to lay out kind of where we are on this project. We continue to support this project and would like to congratulate the authority for their transparency, the fact that we can go back into minutes from December 8th and pull out specific quotes from members of the board. I think talks and shows that the level of transparency that the authority not only has achieved but has always strived for. We continue to support this project, the working men and women of California and their employers that are working diligently to deliver this, to improve not only our air quality, to modernize our train and transport system in California, but also to keep the promise to the voters that we do it in a timely and affordable fashion. So thank you for this opportunity and for this hearing.
Thank you.
Mr. Chair, members, Sarah Flox from the California Labor Federation. We've had the opportunity to support and to participate in oversight of this project since the beginning. Not only is this the largest public works project in the country, I would say this also has the most thorough oversight of any project. We have participated in local meetings, so in communities, about this project. There has been state oversight. There was SB 1029, and there is federal oversight. There's an independent peer review. And then also, I would say that we do have also private sector oversight. A goal of this project is to have private sector investment and participation in the project, both in the building of the trains, in the operating of the system. And we know that we have to have an effective and plausible plan for the private sector to invest. And so they are watching as well. We've had the opportunity to participate in oversight. We look forward to doing that in the future. And we've seen this project evolve with the Assembly or with the legislature's participation. So we welcome these hearings and we continue to support. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments.
Dave DePinto, I flew up here from Los Angeles. I have something that would have taken a lot longer than a minute, so I'd appreciate just being able to highlight what is in a 2-page letter that I will leave behind.
I appreciate your keeping it to a minute.
Okay. I represent several communities and coalitions in the Burbank to Palmdale project section, several 100,000 people who are uniting to oppose these routes. There is a huge disconnect between what Chairman Richards says and what his project team does when it comes to transparency and accountability. The facts belie some of that rhetoric. We have argued publicly for 6 months that the authority was not following up on communicating about a commitment made and voted for unanimously at its June 9th board meeting to conduct and complete within 6 months upfront studies on water, seismicity and tunneling impacts. It's 8 months later, the studies are still not done. We expected the authority to conduct the studies with independent third-party experts. It didn't happen. We tried repeatedly from June until December. Nothing happened. The authority canceled all public meetings in November and December and left us hanging as we went into the holidays.
If you could wrap it up, sir.
This is the most important point. It was then that the authority announced that it had engaged the Mineta Transportation Institute to study equine issues. This is the kicker, and this is what happens when there's a lack of oversight and tremendous financial and timeline pressures. On December 3rd, we found a problem. The CEO of the High-Speed Rail
Sir,
Authority...
to wrap up your comments, you're half minute over.
This is a really important point, and I came all the way from Los Angeles to deliver this message to you.
I understand that. We have other people, and we only have a limited amount of time.
I respect all those folks. I'm going to make this last point. On December 3rd, we found a problem. The CEO of the authority, Jeff Morales, is on the board of the Mineta Transportation Institute, which has completed a study. The study is flawed. It's erroneous. It's now part of the public debate. It's going to be used to cut the throats of our communities.
Your time has now expired.
I think the process is ridiculous that we can't speak more than a minute. Where can I leave my materials? You hand it to me.
Next speaker, would you step up, please? Thank you.
My name is Gregory Thompson. I'm Secretary of the Train Riders Association of California. I just wanted to say we support the development of high-speed rail in California because it has the potential for diverting significant traffic from automobiles and airplanes in one of the world's most heavily traveled corridors. However, we oppose the existing project because it fails to tap into this huge market, largely because of circuity and long travel times. The failure to consider alternatives is at the root of many of the problems bedeviling the project today. The most obvious alternative generally follows I-5. It promises such high benefits compared to costs that private money is prepared to build it, unlike the existing project. I encourage the committee to thoroughly audit the existing project in the context of the rational I-5 alternative, and if the audit points to the alternative being superior enough to attract private capital, I ask the committee to encourage its development. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
And I do have letters.
Frank Oliveira, Citizens for California High-Speed Rail Accountability. Chairman Bloom, this is the most complex project in the United States. It has concerns, real concerns in our area. We've drove 4 hours today. This planning, this hearing, with only allowing this amount of time for public comment is inadequate. I'm going to leave
Sir, I suggest you restrict your comments to the substance of your comments since we only have that limited amount of time.
Yes, sir. I'm going to hand this to your clerk rather than discuss it.
All right, thank you. We'll take a look at those.
And in defense of the chairman, these fellows who are here, and some of them are armed, they are authorized to take us by force to the floor if we do not come. So it is not exactly all within our choice.
Welcome.
Yes, good morning. My name is Ross Browning with the CCHSRA, California Concerned Citizen for High-Speed Rail Accountability. I also am upset by this 1-minute rule, but I'll try. If you'll pardon this pun, in a nutshell, there must be more oversight applied to the California high-speed train project. The project has not been planned well enough to be successful and is grossly lacking in capital needed to overcome its deficiencies. We would gladly compare the analysis in that you'll receive against any document that the authority has produced to date on this subject. Proper oversight of the authority would prevent the authority from manipulating the public and the legislature out of billions of dollars that could be more effectively used elsewhere to address greenhouse gas. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Good morning. I'm Sherilyn Smith. I'm from Fresno. I drove up here in the fog, and I support Jim Patterson's suggestion that we reconvene later today. I cannot cover what I have to say. I do want to make another suggestion to this committee that however these committees are formed, I'd like to see more gender representation, more females on the committee as well. I do have something to present on my perspective on the affiliation of cap and trade and high-speed rail. If you'd like, I'd be glad to make another trip up here. I have a PowerPoint on it in which I am presenting to people in the valley. The issue is that the relationship between cap and trade and high-speed rail undermines the goals of cap and trade. I would like any oversight committee to be aware of that, to be monitoring what goes on there, because in fact, the success of cap and trade is dependent on the reduction of greenhouse gases and the diminishing of revenue.
Thank you.
The high-speed rail has stated things that would offset that success. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments.
Yes, my name is Ron Jones. I'm the president of the Train Riders Association of California. There are a number of topics we could cover, whether it's subsidence and the issues with eminent domain going down the road, to the fact that in the last business plan, as Mr. Morales stated, they went through a detailed update of that 2014, and you're all waiting for the 2016, I assume. Well, our belief is that all that was done was a change in the inflation and adjustments to those costs. So that's something you might consider as you're looking at comparing that. I have two reports, one by one of our board members, Susan McAdams, who's been deeply involved in the issues of Burbank in regards to the double tracking down there and the duplication, and actually in alternative, actually blocking the ability of one of the major alternatives to be considered down there because of a Metrolink contract. But I don't have time today. I'm submitting reports, one of these to each one of your offices, as well as the governor and to the speaker. We'll also be talking about the condemnation of the major Madera Business Park that it being done as we speak. Thank you.
Thank you. We'll be happy to take a look at those.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman. My name is Alan Scott. I'm from Hanford, California. I'm a founding member of Citizens for California High-Speed Rail Accountability. I have a package, and I got up at around, well, I actually got up at 1:30 this morning. We left and came up here, and to hear what you said a moment ago, Mr. Chairman, I don't know you, I've never met you. I'm displeased. I understand you're caught under the gun or anything else like that. I have a package. I'll give it to you. But to Mr. Patterson, who I'm familiar with, I appreciate all of your efforts on our behalf, and you are right on, and they are not. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, members of the committee. Welcome. Jeremy Smith here on behalf of the State Building and Construction Trades Council. We represent many of the construction workers who are hopefully going to be working on this project in the long run. So I'd just first like to say thank you to the authority and to Mr. Morales and the board for their transparency and their eagerness to be placed under oversight. I think they've been very transparent, very forthright in what they are thinking and saying and doing. And I'd just like to remind the committee finally on the way, as I finish my comments, about all the tripwires and safety valves, to use Mr. Richards' point, that currently exist. The GAO, the Independent Peer Review Group, the International Union of Railways, this budget subcommittee, Senate budget subcommittee 2, the myriad pieces of legislation that have been introduced over the last 4 or 5 years to stop the project that in and of themselves create many oversight hearings in all of the committees those bills are heard in, and finally the LA Times and every other major newspaper in the state who are keeping their eyes peeled on this project.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Shauna Green from Hanford, California. Since I only got 1 minute, I'm going to make this real easy. They're liars. The proof is in here. They're using capacity instead of ridership. They had Diana Gomez come to a meeting at Kit Carson School and lie to our faces saying they were taking less land when they were taking more. They're liars. They are not to be believed, and you better do your research.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Matt Robinson on behalf of Caltrain. Jeremy named all the things I was going to name, so Instead, I'll just say I think there's ample oversight on this project. We go through it with the authority. Our electrified system that will come online in the next 5 years is going to be kind of the first display of what long-distance electrified rail in California is going to look like. It is a critical component of the blended system that was mentioned here earlier. And lately, as we've kind of picked up steam and reevaluating how the project's going to interface with Caltrain, I want to just commend the authority staff, Dan and Jeff, for being more than willing to work with us on the peninsula and help us perform outreach with our citizens down there who also express a lot of the same concerns you're hearing from folks in Southern California and the Valley. But the authority's always been there to answer those questions and help us facilitate that project. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And with that final comment, we are adjourned.